Welcome back everyone to the third video in this series. So in this video we are going to learn about a very interesting topic in JavaScript, that's life cycle of variables and functions along with hoisting. But before we begin that, we have to first understand what's the scope of variables, functions, and a short refresher on let, var, and const. After that we will come to our main topic of hoisting and life cycle along with a very interesting challenge at the end. So let's first begin with the first topic. So let's start with the first topic, and that is scopes. So what is a scope? Scope defines the visibility of a variable inside of our code. So there are three types of scopes: block scope, function scope, and the global scope. So whenever we create a variable like this and give it a value of 10, it's always inside of the global scope, because as you can see it's not inside of any functions or anything. It's just in the root of our project we declare a variable, so it will always be inside the global scope. We can quickly verify it by going to the Chrome, and since it's in the global scope we can access it by using window.a and we will get 10 here. So this means that this is in a global scope. So let's just create a function into value of function, name function, and create a variable where a 10 and console log here the value of a, and also let's console log the value of a outside of it. So as you can see, we have created the variable a inside of a function, so it must be not available inside of the window global scope, window object, or the global scope. And so line number 9 will give us a reference error that a is not defined. See, a is not defined because a is not in the global scope, it's inside of a function. So this is called a functional scope. And so what is a block scope now? If we create an if condition, so if true, and then if true, and then we create a variable named a and variable b, and log here the value of a and plus b, we will get hello world here. But if we try to access these value outside of this block scope, so let us here put a. So what do you think we will get on line number 11? We will get simple hello here. That is because the variable that are declared by var are only limited to functional scope and global scope. They are not affected by this block scope. So these, if we declare a variable inside of a block scope using the keyword var, then it's still available outside of that block. But the same is not valid when a variable is declared using var inside of a function, because var is functional scoped variable. So this concludes this simple topic of scope, and now we will start with our next topic of var, let, and const keywords. So let us start with the second topic, that is var, let, and const keywords. And let us first start with the var keyword. So var keyword is available since the beginning of JavaScript, and it's most commonly used everywhere, and you might be familiar with it. Like, we can declare a variable and assign it for any value that we want using the var keyword like this. And now var is also redeclarable and reassignable. So what do you mean by that? Is if I write var a is equal to 10 and now I want to change it, so I can simply write var a is equal to now 20, and we will get a is equal to 20. So this means that variables declared using var keyword are reassignable. We can quickly verify it by going here and typing a, so a is 20. Now let's try to redeclare the variable. For that, we'll simply write here again where a is equal to true. Now I have redeclared the variable a and gave it a value of boolean type, and that is true. So now let's check our answer here, and if we write a, we get true here. So this means that variables declared using var keyword are both reassignable as well as redeclarable. So now let us come to the second keyword, that is let keyword. In this let keyword, the major difference between var and let is that var is function scoped and let is block scoped. So what does that mean is, if I create a block like this where I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, and try to access the variable I outside of this block, so we will get 5 here. That's because it is defined, it is declared using var keyword, and var is function scope, not block scope, so it is available outside of this block statement. What if I put let here? Now we will get a reference error. That's because that let is a block scoped variable and it's not available outside of this block. As you can see here, I is not defined. And second difference is, we cannot redeclare variables that are declared using let. For example, let a is equal to 10, and if you want to reassign it, we can simply write a is equal to true. So log here a, we will get true here. See, so let is reassignable but not redeclarable. If I try here let a is equal to true, and now try to log it, the value we get a has already been declared. So there are two major differences. First is functional scope versus block scope. Second is that let keyword is not reassignable, redeclarable, and only reassignable. Now let us come to the const keyword. Const is exactly the same as let, just the difference is that you cannot also reassign it. So if I create const a is equal to 10 and try to reassign it a value of, say, let's say 20, we will get simple error that a is const variable, so you cannot reassign it another value, and also you cannot redeclare it just like let. See, a has already been declared. So these are the two differences between let and const. And there is also a third difference, that if you don't assign a value here and just simply write const a, you will get an error, because you have to, when you declare a variable using const, you have to at the same time assign it a value. If you try it, see, we get missing initializer in const declaration. So this means that we have to declare as well as initialize the variables that are defined using const, but this is not the case with let and var. If I type let a and var b, we will get no such error here. So this is all for this topic. Now let's start with the third topic, that is variable lifecycle. So welcome back to the third topic in this video, and in this topic we are going to discuss about lifecycle methods, lifecycle of variables and functions. So first, what is a lifecycle? Lifecycle consists of three steps, that is declaration, initialization and assignment. In declaration, we register the variable in the corresponding scope. That is, if you have defined a variable inside of a function or a block, then it is registered inside of that block or function. Then initialization happens. In initialization, the memory is allocated to the variable. from the heap, and in the last step you assign the value to the initialized variable. Like if you have created this variable and give it a value of 10, it is assigned at the last step. So to visualize it, I have created a sketch here. So whenever you write something on JavaScript and try to execute it, then first compilation happens and then the execution happens. In compilation phase, the declaration and initialization happens, and in the specific case of the keyword var, the variable that you have created is first initialized with an initial value of undefined, and then during the execution phase the variable is assigned the actual value that you have given in the code. So for example, if I have given var a is 10 and try to log here the value of a, here we will get undefined, because as you can see during the compilation phase all the variables are initialized with a value of undefined if they are declared using var keyword. So this is for var. What happens if we, let's say, create a function here, outer function, and another function, inner function, and console log here a, and define here a is 10, not here, a is 10 here, and call our inner function here and then our outer function. So what do you think we will get on line number 12? We will get again undefined. A is not defined. Why so? Because this on line number 13 we have not given any keyword here. If we had given var here, then we will get simple undefined and not like error that a is not defined here, because now we have written our var keyword here. So now let's start with let now. So now comes the part of let and const. So there's a major difference between let, const and var during the compilation and execution phase is that let and const are same and var is different. In let and const, during the compilation phase, declaration happens, but a temporal dead zone is created. We will come to this point later. And the third point is variable declared but not initialized. And if you can remember, in var the variable is declared and initialized with a value of undefined. So when we try to access the variable before initializing it, before declaring it, we got undefined. But in this case, during the execution phase, initialization with undefined happens and then the assignment happens. So what this means is, if I try to access a here and then let a is equal to whatever it is, and if we try to access it, we will get cannot access a before initialization. So now comes the part, what is the temporal dead zone? Let's give an example here. If I try here const a is equal to const sum is equal to a plus 15 here, okay, and then I try to console log here the value of sum, and after that let a is equal to, let's say, 30. Now we will get the same error that you are trying to access a before its initialization. So this is a simple that it creates a temporal dead zone for this variable a, because it is still not defined, it's not declared here, it's not declared before using it. So if you want to fix it, we have to simply write and declare the initialize and declare the value before using it, and we will get 28. Or if you don't want to do that, we can simply write here where. Now where we will get undefined here, so undefined plus number we will get not a number. See, we get a not a number, but the error is gone. So this space between your declaration and using a variable is called a simple temporal dead zone. So now in this next video, next topic, we will discuss the function, the life cycle of functions. So let's start with the life cycle of functions. Let me show you an example here, the sketch here. So the key difference between life cycle of function and a variable is that during the compilation phase, as you can see here, declaration, initialization as well as the assignment is done in the compilation phase itself. And if you recall correctly, in the var section I explained you that in the compilation phase, when a variable is declared using var, the declaration happens and the initialization happens, and the initial value is given undefined to that variable, and during the execution phase assignment happens. But in case of the function, all these three things are done in the compilation phase itself, and in the execution phase the function is ready for use. So what it means is, let me just quickly create a simple example here. Create a function and console log as function is ready, and let us try to access that function before declaring it. So we get function is ready here because initialization and assignment both are done on the compilation phase. So let's try another example here. If I do const fn is equal to function and console log here, I am here, okay, and now try to access it here fn. So what do you think the answer would be? Pause the video for 5 seconds and give it a shot. So I guess you got the correct answer. If not, let me just explain it to you. See, we cannot access fn before initialization. So as you can see here on line number 7, I declared a const variable fn, and since it's const, so it is not available, it's in a temporal dead zone right now on line number 5 to 7 because it's not defined on line number 5, so we cannot access it on line number 5 here, as I have already taught you that in the const section. So what do you think if I write var here and now try to run it? Would the error be gone, or we get a different error, or we get I am here printed on our screen? What do you think? So now we will get fn is not a function here. But why so? So if you recall correctly, when we declare a variable, it's already initialized with the undefined value during the compilation phase. So on line number 5, when you try to access function with this parenthesis, and actually it's in the compilation phase, it is like this, undefined, and then you call it like this. But if on line number 8, as you can see, function is not, the fn variable is not really a function here, so that's why you are getting undefined here. Let me just save it and run it. You will still get fn is not a function here. So I guess this solves your question, solves the question here, that why were you getting undefined, that fn is not a function here on this line. The same thing will be here in let also, like in the const, that you are trying to access it before initialization. So this is for this lecture. Now let's start with our main topic of this video, that is hoisting. So now let's start with the last topic in this video, that is hoisting. So what is hoisting? In JavaScript, hoisting is the default behavior of moving all the declarations at the top of the scope before executing before the code execution happens, that is during the compilation phase. So basically it gives us an advantage that no matter where functions and variables are declared, they are moved to the top of their scope regardless of whether the scope is global or local. So if you understood that, you might be thinking that yes, we we already know all of this because I have been discussing it since the beginning of this lecture. So if you recall correctly, let me just give you a simple example here, that if I write e is equal to 5 here and then do this var e, so here we will simply get undefined, because see we get so put it here. See, we get undefined here. So what is happening in the background is, first during the compilation phase, I have already told you that in hoisting all the declarations move to the top of their scope. So here it goes. Then the program runs like it's running normally. See, we will still get undefined here. If you want to get e is equal to 5, then you have to manually move it here. Now we will get 5. So this is simple hoisting. We have been discussing it since the beginning. And if I do like this, let e, and before declaring it I simply write e is equal to 5 here. So what do you think the answer would be right now? It will be, we will get an error because cannot e before initialization. So if you remember, I taught that in the let section, that during the compilation phase only declaration happens and no initialization is happening in the compilation phase, that is only in the execution phase. So during the compilation phase, e is not even defined here, e is not defined, it is in the temporal dead zone that we have discussed already. So on line number 5 we get a simple error that e is not defined. Same in the case of const. If I write const is equal to 1 and try to access it, I'll get the same error here. So what does this mean? That is let or const not being hoisted? They are being hoisted to the top of their block scope, but since initialization doesn't happen in the compilation phase, we are getting this error. So this also applies to function also, as I have already taught you in the previous section, that function are already initialized, assigned and declared in the compilation phase. So in the execution phase they are already ready to use, and no matter where you define your functions, like if I define my function here later in the program, it will take a and b, console log a plus b here, and I try to access this function before this line and pass it 3 and 2, I will get the correct answer of 5 because this function is hoisted to the top. And if I show you what is happening in the background, this function, this code is running like this. The declaration of function is moved to the top and then the rest of the code is executed. So this was hoisting. So now this video is over, but it's a small section after this, and I will give a simple challenge here. Please try to complete it so that it will summarize your this whole lecture. So let's meet you in the second section, last section. So here is the challenge for this video. So what would be the output of line number 12? Please don't try to run this program and please do not cheat here. And when you are done with this question, write your answer in the comment section. So pause the video and give it a shot. Alright, I think you all got the correct answer. So let me just explain you what's the explanation of this challenge, and first of all let me just tell you what's the answer so you can match it. It's 1, 5 and undefined. So if you didn't get this right, let's go step by step here. As you know, the all these hoisting will be applicable here also. So first on line 1 we can see let b is equal to 5. Okay, so the current value of b is 5 here, and then a is equal to 5. So a is an undeclared variable, so it's like just var. So var a is equal to b. So now a is also 5 here. Now in this block we declare a variable let c is equal to a, and then on line number 10 we get a is equal to 1. So now a is 1, that's fixed here on line number 10, and b was let 5 is equal to let b is equal to 5. So b is also 5, and now since the hoisting will be there and this will go at the top var c, and var c is undefined because this is a block scope and this is a simple block, and inside of this we have created let. So the scope of this creates another variable c inside of this block, but the original value of c is untouched. And if you recall it correctly, when we declare a var a variable using var keyword, its initial value is undefined, so we get undefined here. That's answer 1, 5 and undefined. I hope you like this video, and it was an educational video for you, I guess. If you like the video, press the like. If you didn't like, press the dislike button. And if you have any doubts, you can just write it down in the comment section. I will be there to answer all your questions. So thank you for watching this video. This is Rohit signing off.